Hi, everybody. So glad to be here with you again. Say hello to Sarah.
Hi.
Sorry, Sarah. The audience is quiet. Anyway, Sarah's here.
We don't know that. We don't know that because when I'm sitting in my car,
quiet.
When I'm sitting in my car and someone says, say hi, I'm that person who's like, hi.
So they were all saying hi back to you. And we're so excited to be here with you for another episode. So today, Sarah, will you please tell us what is behind door number one? What are we going to be talking about?
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about the difference between compromise and settling and how all of that fits into dating.
Awesome. So do me a favor.
Yes.
Define for us what's compromise, then define for us what's settling, and then we're going to schmooze it out.
All right. So I am going to share my understanding of it based on my 10 years of dating and, years of coaching. And the way I see it is like this. Compromise is something that a couple will have to do in any relationship, regardless of how similar or how different they are. And it's where you find that healthy medium path that you both can be comfortable with. Doesn't mean you're both comfortable with right off the bat, but you'll get there. Whereas settling is where you genuinely feel like you're getting something less than you deserve.
Deserve or desire?
Maybe? Or desire, yes.
Okay. Do we have an example of each of those things just so we can live it?
Yeah. We're doing this on the fly, so give me a second. Talk in the meantime.
Talk amongst yourselves, have a coffee. You guys can talk it out. I know people are there, they're listening on the other end and they're like, oh my gosh, I have an example.
Yeah.
What
totally.
about?
Too bad we aren't doing this live and where we can be like, call in to 1-877 marriage and share your answer with us today. We should totally do that. What?
We'll work on a 1-800 number.
Yeah, right. Compromise versus settling. So,
Compromise is, I really want to live near my family and I live on the East Coast, and you really want to live near your family and they live on the West Coast. And we come up with a plan, which might be that I'm going to make it up. For the first 3 years, we're going to live by your family. And then after we have kids and whatever, we're going to live near my family. I'm the girl. I want to live near my parents. It's really important to me. And you get a little bit of what you want, and I get what I want also. And it's what we believe will be best for our family long term. But we're not really either getting what we want because we both want to live where we want to live, but we're willing to come up with some sort of solution, some meet in the middle situation where it's not 50-50. It's just a solution to the challenge that we're having.
And we both feel okay with that solution. We're both comfortable with
that. That is the key, right? Compromise is when both sides are okay with it. Settling, on the other hand, is you can't move because of a job. Okay, I guess I'll just have to live by you. I don't want it. I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. I wish we could do it some other way, but I guess that's the only way. So I'm just going to have to live with it. I'm going to have to settle. I'm going to have to be okay with the situation that I'm not really okay with. And you're not in a position to compromise with.
But I'm not really
and I'm not okay
with it.
Right. I'm not really okay with it.
And it's going to lead to resentment down the line. Because right now I'm saying that I will settle for that. But because I never accepted it and I'm not really okay with it, at some point down the road, it's going to come back to bite us in the behind. Can I say that on a podcast?
You just did.
I did.
Okay, so what happens then? I'm going to just rephrase the scenario. I never really wanted to live anywhere else, but you said you can't move, and I'm going to have to move where you're going to live. But like, you know what? I'm okay with it. I don't mind. Maybe it's a city I don't mind going to, and you have a cool family, and I'm not super close with my family, and I'm okay with it. Would you call that compromise? Would you call that settling, or what would you call that?
I would definitely call that compromise, because somewhere in that conversation, something had to happen that made me feel okay with that decision. Right? So
Maybe not. Maybe I'm going to just throw like a, maybe we didn't talk about it. I just decided on my own. I need to be okay with this. I like who you are enough, and I want to be with you enough. And your situation is not flexible. Maybe you're divorced, you have children, you have to be close to your kids. I'm single, never married. Therefore, I'm the one that's portable. And I'm not so stuck in where I have to be. It's where I wanted to be or where I thought I might be, but I'm not married to that place and I'm not feeling like I have to be there.
right.
So I just, it's like I'm a little more flexible with what I may have been okay with. And so for me, it's not a compromise, because it's not like, oh, we're both okay with this
It's
and we
not
had a
an
whole
equal
schmooze about it.
compromise in that we're both giving something up, but it's a compromise in the sense that I'm saying, even though this wasn't my first choice, you are my first choice, and that's a compromise I'm willing to make.
But I think it's a one-sided compromise.
yes,
So
and
there's a
that's
difference.
okay, but we're still both
Right.
okay with it. I think
Well, but you don't need the other side. A one-sided, I want to like just have different definitions. There's settling, there's compromising, and then there's this new term that we're coming up, which is a one-sided compromise. I'm the only one that's compromising. You don't need to.
Right.
You don't have to be. I'm moving. Whether you like it or you don't like it, like you need that. So it's not. I don't even need to have a discussion with you. I only have to have a discussion with me. It's a one-sided compromise that's not settling. There's a difference between a one-sided settling, oh, I'm settling, I'm just going to be okay with it, or a two-sided discussion where I choose to settle, or a one-sided, I'm compromising, or a two-sided discussion, we meet somewhere in the middle. There's a differentiation between the me and the we conversation.
Yes. And I think life is definitely more complex than this, but I think it might be, just for the sake of differentiating, it might be easier to understand settling in that, let's say I am tied to my city for work or family or whatever, kids, whatever the reason is, I'm tied to living here. And I feel like I need to settle for whoever's in the city. I need to make someone in the city work. Or
wait a minute, that's a one-sided settle before I ever meet that person. I am choosing to only date people that are within this city limit because that's the extent of my boundaries.
But
so
I'm happy about
I'm pre-settling. But it's a pre-settling.
It's a pre-settling, but I'm not happy about it. And I know that for the rest of my life, in the back of my head, I'm going to be like, I really wish I didn't have to settle for someone in my city.
No, so that's not acceptable. So I'm going to, that's not acceptable to me. But it's not acceptable to be a settle.
Correct. Needs to be that's what we're saying, Eliza. Settling is not okay. Compromise is okay. We want compromise in a relationship. We don't want settling.
Yes. So you have to transform your brain if you're having a one-sided, I'm going to settle for this, and say, no, I'm going to choose. I'm going to compromise because I want somebody within the city limits. And so I need to choose somebody that is readily available. And here's what's available. You go to your local fruit store, that's all you have. You go to the big chain store, you have a whole larger selection. You have different things. I'm not saying they're better. You just have a different selection. So you have to be okay with the selection that is most local to you because it's what you need. And I agree. We need to focus on, I also think, I'm going to say we need to focus on the compromise over the settling, but I have to tell you, as we're saying this, I'm feeling triggered, like compromise, settled, like I'm not, as we're talking about it, I'm just not feeling, like, oh, sure, yeah, oh, yay, I'd love to compromise, but I'd love a different word. I'd love a word that doesn't
so interesting
bring that up.
We didn't, so you know us if you're listening.
We never pre-plan our content.
We don't pre-plan
just the
our
title
content.
And that's, or if that.
But here's the thing, Eliza, I have always liked compromise. I don't like settling. I don't believe in settling. I think compromise is such a key tool in any relationship. It so doesn't bring me it so doesn't put a bad taste in my mouth, because the whole idea of compromise is that both parties are okay with it in the end, right?
Right.
And
Right.
I think
Right. And you have to truly be okay with it. The compromise is something that's healthy, something that's livable, something that's emotionally and physically sustainable, and something that you can say, I'm okay. We're going to do this. And it's not going to be, oh, I compromised this on this, so next time you're going to compromise on that. Everything's
that's not
individual.
compromise.
That's not compromise. This worked out like this. Good. That's where we're holding, because that's what works for us in our relationship right now. Great.
Yeah.
Something else comes up, it's a whole new subject. Everything else that existed before, it's gone. It's not a part of that.
Right.
This is something totally separate that exists in a separate space. If you compromise on something, you're at peace with it. You're in a good place with it. If you're settling on it, you're having that feeling that and I don't want to settle.
That feeling, I think, is resentment. And I think that's how you know the difference between compromise and settling. When you're thinking about something, if there's any part of you that feels any sort of resentment against the decision, against the person, against yourself, against whatever, I think that means like you need to check this a little bit more, because that's not like a wholesome compromise. There's something
Right.
there. And when you have that resentment, it's just going to build up over time. It doesn't go away. It's like irritants, right? You know how we say if there's something
Right.
that bothers you about the person you're dating, don't think that once you get married, it's just going to not bother you anymore. It's not only going to still bother you, it's going to bother you a heck of a lot more.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sorry to spoiler alert. Sorry about that. It's going to be even more challenging as things go on.
Elisa,
Okay.
I've
yeah.
totally said this before, and I'm going to say it again, but I hate when people tell singles that they're too picky. Like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this person. I will be as picky as I please. Right? And I still think that as picky as we are, we will need to compromise. There is no relationship without compromise. And I think when people hear picky or people say picky, what they mean is you need to settle. And that's not true. And I think that,
and that's why it triggers people.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, you're going to not get what you want, and you're not going to be okay with it. And it's not going to be a middle of the road thing. It's going to feel yuck, and you're going to have to suck it up. And that's the way it is, because we all do that.
Right.
That's not true.
And you don't have to do that, and you shouldn't do that. But compromise is definitely going to be part of it. And I don't care what the people mean when they say, like, don't be picky. But I think when we hear it, we should, for ourselves, put on that reframe of, maybe I need to look at where I can compromise. And how can that get me the relationship that I'm looking for?
Exactly. And how can it be something that's win-win, even when it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be? Right. Because nobody's going to be exactly what you thought they were going to be.
Oh no.
And even if you think that they are exactly what you thought you wanted,
they're not.
Then just wait another week, wait another month. It's going to change. It's not, nobody's ever exactly what we want or what we need or what we think. Everybody is slightly different than that. And we constantly have to adjust to who we're with and adjust who we are in terms of who we're with in order to build that relationship long term.
And if you're dating someone right now and you're thinking, this really is it. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I know exactly who they are. When you realize that they're not and it isn't, just
don't be upset.
Yeah. Remember our voices.
Awesome. So if you need any support through this, if you're thinking, wow, that's a great discussion, but like in my situation, no. And how do I handle that? We're here for you. We've got a whole staff of coaches that are waiting to support you. You can sign up for an intro call. You could pick any coach. And if you're totally confused and you're like, I don't know who to pick and what to do, call me. I mean, don't call me, sign up for a session and we'll talk. And I'll get to know you, and then we'll pick which coach is the right coach for you, whether it's me or anybody from our team or Sarah, who is now coaching with us. We are so excited to have her on board. So please,
Lisa, before we sign off, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
And I'm putting you on the spot here, so you don't have to have an answer, but
Okay.
is it possible? And if it is possible, how can someone look at something that they initially thought would be settling and transform it into a compromise?
Oh my gosh, this is like deep thoughts from
I know,
Sarah.
I know. It just came up in my brain, and I'm like,
It's a great,
I wonder if that's
wait,
doable.
wait. It's a great question. I love the question.
You love all the questions.
I do. I do. Okay, so I'm thinking about this one. So bear with me. I usually tell people when you hear nothing, I'm like, that's the sound of thinking. So I'm thinking with you out loud because listening to nothing will be really annoying. So transferring, settling into a compromise. So first of all, you have to work on yourself to release and let go of triggers. Okay. So if this is triggering me and I'm feeling like settling and something is going on for me. I am heated about it. I am hot. If we talk about this, I'm going to start to get irritated if you make me go in a certain direction. So the way that you start to overcome this or to shift is to take what you want, put it on one side, and then come up with the most bizarre, extreme as possible opposite. Figure out like the total, complete opposite of the situation. So earlier we talked about moving, right? And I want to be in my city, you want to be in your city, and I'm not compromising. Like, that's it. I have a job, I have kids, I have whatever, you name it, I have it. I am nailed to my city, and that is it. Okay, now we are going to go. I could move anywhere, even Antarctica. I could move to the North Pole, right? I want to expand your brain cells. I could move to Hawaii. I could move to Kalamazoo. It's only in Michigan. I could move to China, right? I could move to China. Could I move to China? I could move to China. I can do that. I'm gonna move a new language and a new city and new people. And do I know anybody there? I could, right? I want you to go to the complete, either opposite or a very, very, very far extreme of what you really can do. And I want you to sit with it. And then I want you to brainstorm a little bit. If I were going to make such a life shift, how would I make that work? What would I have to do to make that work? What kind of community would I have to live in? What kind of a support network would I need? I mean, this is specifically related to living, but this could be with, you can use this with any example. Ask yourself questions. How can I succeed in this far extreme example that triggers me like crazy? And how can I make sure that this is something that could work, that I could be successful in this specific situation? And when I move in that direction and I shift my thinking completely and totally into something opposite, I am expanding my brain. I'm expanding my heart. I am expanding my understanding. And that empowers me and enables me to stretch beyond my comfort zone. So after I've gone to a far extreme, now let's go 50% back, right? Let's only go, let's meet in the middle. Now let's come up with a middle example. It's not where I am, it's not what I want, but it's not some cockamamie crazy out of this world idea. It's just something that doesn't make me happy. What is it? How do I feel about it? What's going on for me? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And dig into it. How could I make it work? And expand your consciousness. If you actually come up with an idea that you could actually make work, there's a compromise within there. If you come up with nothing and your brain is like, no, thanks, Elisa, for this advice, but it doesn't work for me, not in this example, because I can never leave because and this is never, ever going to work, right? So, okay, maybe you're in a situation that you could never shift or change. But if you try to come up with other solutions and other ideas, you might be able to expand your thinking. So let me give you a client example. I had a client and she was living in whatever city, it doesn't really matter. Yes.
Wait, I need to interrupt you, because when I asked you that question, I was like, how is she going to answer this? My mind is blown, because that is so simple and such an easy, smart, good, creative thinking process.
Yeah. And you can do it. You don't need anybody else to do this. You can
Right.
just do this on your own.
And
it
again,
triggers people.
right.
but
And
it's
the point isn't you should never feel like you're like the point isn't that you can't feel like you're settling. You always have to go through this process, but it's if you want to make a relationship work, but you feel like you will need to settle or you are settling and you are afraid that resentment will come up, this is a crazy good tool to, do you ever see me speechless? I'm not exaggerating right now. My mind is racing to where else in life I could like apply this. I love it. Okay, give your example.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so this client, she was struggling because she's in the city, she's divorced, she has kids, and she's like, I can't move. I mean, there's no way. Totally can't move. My ex is here. Kids are in school. They're not 2-year-olds. They're big, medium kids, whatever. And they're like not transportable. This is not going to happen. Somebody's going to have to come to my city. And then she's like, nobody's coming to my city because nobody wants to live here. And what am I going to do? So she had, in a logical, normal thinking, we'd be like, choose somebody from your city or choose somebody who can live and work remotely or choose somebody who's totally flexible and transportable. Great. Yeah. Wasn't super available. She'd been trying to do that for years. And she started to expand her thinking. So she went to extreme thinking of where she could live and where she could move and schlepping her kids and the whole thing. And then she came back to a middle of the road of, what if I had a conversation with my ex? What if the kids stayed by the ex during school and then they came by me for the summer because I moved, because I got married? What if the kids came by me, then they went back with the ex? What if the kids, they have always been wanting to go to boarding school. It's like camp, but it's school. And so they could go there. And right, she was coming up with all of these other solutions, all of these other ideas that she had never really thought about. And she was like, oh, well, I mean, I really would prefer to stay where I live. But if I had to do something else, I think I have a few ideas. I don't know if they're going to work. I don't know if they're going to like them. I don't know if I'm going to like them, but it's possible that this could be a different solution. And it was something that I never thought of and something that I thought was totally out of my reach. And by the way, she did get engaged. She called me and I was like, no way. And they are planning a move. It's amazing.
That's incredible. Aliza, can you give us one other example unrelated to moving? Do you have anything on the tip of your tongue?
On a compromise or
like a settled turn.
Or settling, a settled turn compromise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also thinking of like, is there an example of a compromise turned settle? So, okay, I'll give you a good one. Educational background. This is really big. Did they go to school? Did they go to graduate school? Do they have a certain degree? And I want to see their real business resume, their professional resume, not their dating profile. I want to see the resume. I want to know what kind of stock they come from. So a lot of people are very much stuck in that it has to be a certain level of education from a certain type of school, from a certain type of family. And what they come to realize is, well, okay, so I'm skipping ahead. Let's back up. So when you want that and you only date that, and it's not working after a period of time, then we have to go through the expanded thinking, right? For some people, let's just clarify. Maybe you'll find your person, maybe you'll get exactly what you're looking for, great. But what we're focusing on is this expanded thinking. So if you're not finding what you want and it's been a significant period of time, it could be dates or years or whatever, however many dates or however many years that you've been doing this and it's still not working. What if you dated somebody who, let's go to expanded thinking, graduated from 8th grade and never attended high school? Ooh. What if? Okay, can I tell you personally, my grandfather, this was back in the days of the Depression, but he graduated from 8th grade. That was it. They went to work. The man went on to build a phenomenal business that anybody would be thrilled to have, and had a wonderful life in Parnassa and built a beautiful, amazing family. The man didn't graduate from anything beyond 8th grade.
Wow.
Okay. So, and if you're thinking, I'm not going to be able to have a comfortable life, they don't have a degree, they don't have to think, and who are they and what are they? You know, there's book smarts, there's street smarts, there's a combination of both. And there's some people who don't, maybe we're not going to go as extreme as 8th grade, but people who graduate high school, but they don't go on to get a degree. They have a career, they have a something.
That would be
and
me.
They didn't, okay? And they didn't graduate from a university with some degree. Okay, so let me expand your thinking. How many people graduate with a degree and don't use it? How many people graduate with a degree and it's a useless degree? How many people graduate with a degree and they go on to get another degree because they didn't like the first degree that they got, so they get something else, and they don't like the second degree that they got, so they go get something else? Okay, are you with me here?
I feel like so many people listening right now are like, I feel so seen.
Right?
Yes.
Right? It's so difficult. And how many people have graduated from the University of YouTube and figured out what they wanted to do with their life and made hundreds, thousands, or millions of dollars, never having gone to university? How many? In this world, the numbers are astronomically high.
Right.
Your degree does not define you. And if it is defined for you and you're like, I have to have it, it's important to me, it's a limitation. And you could keep it until you get sick of keeping it and you want to expand your thinking. So somebody that I was working with went through this, and she met the most lovely man. He was lovely. And degree, I mean, he was like one of those kind-hearted sweethearts, amazing human beings, will treat her like a queen, but did not have a professional degree with a standard that she was satisfied with. And she's like, but we won't be able to have intelligent conversations. I said, I mean, about what? You know, like literature or other topics that you're really interested in. But what could you have intelligent conversations about? She was like, well, emotionally based conversations, you know, he's somebody who's very loving and giving and kind-hearted. And I said, great. Is that something you also respect? And she's like, yeah, but I mean, I want to be intellectually stimulated. I said, what if he never, let's go extreme, never has an intellectually stimulating conversation with you? She's like, well, what will I do? I said, you tell me. She's like, well, I mean, I'm already in groups, so I could continue my book clubs and my discussion groups and I was like, right. Okay. And what else could you do? She goes, well, I can talk to my whomever, my friends and my community, my cousins, like they're all interested in those things. I said, great. So you have other people that you could talk to about those interests that's really good for you? Yeah. And what else could you respect about him? Well, she's like, well, I mean, he's honest, right? Heart is as good as gold, right? He will always treat me very kindly and very well. I said, great. So he doesn't have a degree. Can you respect him? Yes. Okay. Can you find somebody else to have these other discussions with? Yes. Are you settling or are you compromising? Are you choosing to say, actually, I expanded my thinking and I thought about this and I can make this work. I can happily make this work. I want to make this work, as opposed to, well, I guess there's no other options better out there. So I guess I better take what's in front of me because it should be good enough. It feels so different. She chose it. She is so happy. I just want to like, P.S. She is so happy. And I check in with her every year. Hi, just want to check in because my clients want to know, do you regret your decision? Because some of them are worried. And she's like, you tell them you marry that one, forget about the degree.
That's
every
amazing.
time.
That's amazing. I just want to like repeat that without this thought exercise, had she gone ahead and gotten engaged to this man, she would have felt like she was settling, and she
would have probably ended up divorced.
Right.
She would have not been happy, and in 2 years or less, she would have been out.
She would have resented him for that perceived lack, right? And I say perceived lack because not everyone has that he, like, in the way, meaning that he was, right. It was something he should have had and he didn't, but it was something that she thought she needed. And through this thought exercise, she realized, no, this would be a compromise. And therefore, she was able to go ahead with it. And again, like if you're listening and you're like, no, I really need someone with a degree, no one's telling you to settle. We're saying,
it's fine, but if you're not finding it,
Right.
if you're not finding it, let's expand your thinking and try something else. If you're committed to getting exactly what you want in the box of what you want, so keep looking. Keep looking. It's only when you don't feel like doing that anymore and you want another tool and you want another resource. And anyway, this is a good exercise. Even when you get married, because you're gonna find that person. Listen to me, repeat after me. I am in process of finding my person and they're in process of finding me. You're going to find them, and then you're gonna need this tool anyway, because you need it in relationships.
I would love to hear from those of you who are listening. And Elise, I'm sure you would like to hear this too. I kind of want to challenge whoever's listening to go through this settle to compromise exercise, even if with the person you're dating or the next person you date, even if you're not interested.
Or from the past. You can do it from memory, from somebody that you have dated. How could I have handled that differently? Because you need a real example.
Can you, Aliza, can we ask them to email us? Because I'm really curious. If you have an example or you are willing to think about it and expand your thinking, email us your situation at coach@marriagemindedmentor.com.
Yes, please. And if you're thinking about this situation and you're like, I don't know how to expand my thinking, or I don't like it, I still feel like I'm settling and I want support through this, you can find us or any of our coaches at marriagemindedmentor.com. You can sign up, you can get an intro call, you can meet us. We are so happy to tell you about who we are, about what we do, and about how we can help.
Lisa, that was a great segue.
Awesome. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.